say good morning to our listeners and viewers of Classic Radio GBN TV. Those of you listening and viewing once again, let me wish you a beautiful Wednesday morning. It's the 2nd day of July, 2025. And welcome to The Point this morning. I'm your host, GT. And with me this morning representing, of course, usually it's Government Wednesday on the program today. So we have from of NaDMA. Is it I know NaDMA in general. I heard there was your position, right, most likely?
You mean at
NaDMA?
Oh, I'm the National Disaster Coordinator.
National Disaster Coordinator, really. Yeah. That slipped me this morning.
Yeah, National Disaster Coordinator. And NaDMA is a government division, right?
Government division, yes,
under the Ministry of
So we have Dr.
Security.
Terence Walters with us this morning. So Walters, good morning and welcome back, I should say.
Yes.
It's not your first time being here on To The Point. It's always a pleasure to have you, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right. To get the ball rolling, I remember last year, a couple of days, maybe not a week or two, but maybe a month after, I had you here on this program, more or less. If I hope I'm getting my thoughts right together. It's 1 year. Yesterday, it was the first 1 year anniversary of Hurricane Beryl.
Yes.
We all remember the trauma that we went through. You understand, especially of course, the citizens of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, the northern part of the island. There were areas on the mainland Grenada that had got the experience. The southern part, I know from my area, there was some of the winds and stuff, not to the magnitude.
Right.
You were able to maybe stand in your outdoors and look at it, what was taking place. Tell me, sir, 1 year after Hurricane Beryl, NaDMA perspective on the stories that developed before and after Hurricane Beryl. Let's get that conversation rolling this morning.
All right. So NaDMA is responsible for general preparedness across Grenada, Carriacou, Petit Martinique, and preparedness at all levels. Okay. So I remember 2 weeks before Hurricane Beryl last year, the middle of June.
Yes.
The staff of NaDMA, all staff Grenada, Carriacou, Petit Martinique, we gathered on Carriacou for staff development.
Yes.
And went through quite a number of things, training and some. We looked at psychosocial support, what you should do before, during, after,
those activities.
all of those things, right? So that's before, and then 2 weeks later, it was the Friday, and we were looking at a strong tropical wave, and I pulled the staff together and I said, listen, folks, I'm seeing this. We don't know what will happen, but be prepared for anything. And then by Saturday, I had to call them in and say, hey, we're on the tropical storm or hurricane watch and warning and all of that, and had to get the ball rolling with the National Emergency Advisory Council and making decisions about when we open shelters and when we activate the National Emergency Operations Center and the district centers and so forth. And then we continued from there. We were expecting the storm Sunday night, okay, but it actually came during the day on Monday. Okay, so that's the path, and it was a lot to deal with. Okay, a lot to deal with during that time in terms of dealing with the regional partners and having people come in and having meetings with the regional entities and so forth to ensure that we have everything in place. So it was a lot to do in a very short period of time, because remember, Saturday morning, and then the storm intensified to category 4 and 5 during that time. It went up to category 5, came back down to 4 before it impacted Grenada. So that was what happened there between Friday and Sunday, Monday.
I understand that. I mean, I was following it also.
Yes.
And Sunday night, Sunday morning, you're always with that notion, hey, he go pass us.
Right.
It's always with that notion, you have that feeling it's going to pass us. Knowing, and you're watching the projection and so forth, you're saying, hey, that's going to pass. We're going to pass. And then, it actually came up, especially the northern part of the island.
Yes.
We always had that perception, hey, it's going. Once it goes into that direction, I always think
it's going to go north or something like that. But what we should always do is prepare.
Yes.
Prepare for the worst Okay, we're hoping for the best. All right, hoping that it doesn't impact us at all. But prepare, ensure that you're prepared just in case it does impact. You're ready for it.
I've been having that conversation lately. Myself and Mr. Sylvan McIntyre, we're here every Monday, and we always talk about preparedness.
Yes,
especially the mental preparedness. It's also is that's a critical part of it. Also, you can have everything else, but if your mindset is in a different direction, it always throws you off at what takes place in general. The days after Hurricane Beryl, sir, it was chaotic in many ways, especially for the Sister Island, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Tell us what led from after that the passage of the hurricane.
Yeah.
Tell us how did Magna deal with those situations there after that?
Well, the National Disaster Management Agency, like I mentioned, we are responsible for preparedness.
Yes.
Okay, general preparedness at all levels across the three islands of the state. And so, if you go by the definition of a disaster, right, you'd understand that for you to have a disaster, you must have, or you must be overwhelmed.
Yes.
Your system has to be overwhelmed. You have damage. You have death. You have
failures.
All of those things, right? You must have all those things, and then you can declare we have a disaster. Now, if your system is functioning well, and you have just minor issues, then you don't have a disaster because you can handle it.
Yes.
But when you need assistance from elsewhere, okay, to manage what is happening, then you can declare we have a disaster. So after Beryl, because the night, the very night, okay, of the first,
yes,
or during the same afternoon, we lost communication with Carriacou and Petit Martinique.
Yes.
So communications was cut off. So there's no phone. You couldn't get them by satellite phone either, and so you're there wondering, okay, what is happening? Because you can't go by boat immediately. You don't have aircraft to go immediately, and then you do not have the all clear as yet, so that you can travel. So you had to wait out the night.
Yes.
All right. You had to wait out that night, and the next morning. So we were preparing, to launch off the first thing the next morning, and what we were doing is, ensuring that we're going up with supplies,
yes,
immediate supplies for the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, and so it was because remember the scenario, we had Ivan, and the scenario was the mainland was impacted.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Carriacou, Petit Martinique, yes, but not as much as the mainland.
As much as the
now you have part of the mainland, and Carriacou and Petit Martinique because the storm passed directly there, and it's Category 4. So you know that Category 3 gave you a certain level of damage. Okay, with Ivan was Category 3.
Yes.
So now Category 4 is
going to be a step up a notch, right?
Oh my goodness, right? Yeah. This is going to be this is going to be catastrophic for Carriacou and Petit Martinique. So we were anticipating, knowing that things would be really bad in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, and that's when we set off the very next morning as early as we could, and went up to Carriacou, Petit Martinique, and started the ball rolling from there. Yeah.
Getting to Carriacou, of course, and of course, I guess Carriacou was the one where you would be we would be landing first. You being the representative of NaDMA, the Honorable Prime Minister was there also, and other, of course, representative. What was that impression that came upon you when you got to Carriacou?
Well, so I think we were the first boat arriving that morning, and you started just seeing the devastation. Yeah. Right, you started. The buildings, the churches. Because you're coming into the show and you realize, whoa, this thing was bad.
It played on Carriacou.
Yes, all right. You saw the damage, you saw everything, and then you looked over the hills, over the mountains. You seen all of the trees just gone, just stripped, and the debris all over the place. I just on the boat, and I was like, wow. what is happening here? But then now you're thinking, all right, so we're going, and I know the people of Karaku and Petit Martinique would be happy to see us from mainland, coming up, and they did, because for the whole night they were wondering what's happening. They were able to contact us by satellite phone in the morning, right, or early in the morning. So at least they knew we were on the way, but expecting us. And then we got to the jetty, and the minister was there, and we had some police officers and other people, and getting off the boat, and now you're starting to walk, and you're realizing, okay, this is really bad.
This is more than
this is really bad. Yeah, I mean, you expected the devastation, because having lived through Ivan, and then I was deployed to Tortola in 2017 for Irma, and then Maria passed while we were there. Yeah. So you know what to expect, what to anticipate. All right, so you had a good idea, but when you really got there, you realize, all right, so we have a task ahead.
So we drew for a break. Let's take it. When we come back, I want us to get into the relief, the recovery efforts, and so forth for Karaku and Petit Martinique at the stage as it's at now, from when it's from after the visiting of the island, from the first until we get to that stage. Now we can get to the recovery, the relief stage, and so forth when we come back after the break. Stay with us, folks. It's To The Point, Classic Radio GBN TV. We're coming right back. Don't touch your dial.
Looking.
I'm ready to defend my crown. Iguana will be performing live, defending Karanaj Soca Monarch. All they think a little curry meet me on the stage. July 25th, 31st, and August 8th. Meet me on the stage.
We wild, we in style. When you see me chilling on that branch by myself, no company, no friends. Oh my gosh, I stumble when I meet a jungle. Woman come in a bungle, wanna come from a jungle. Oh my gosh, I stumble when I meet a jungle. Woman come in a bungle, wanna come from a jungle.
Time to get charged up for the Fuller Energy Home Series as West Indies takes on Australia in a fiery test match from July 3rd to 7th at the National Cricket Stadium from 10 a.m. each day. Free entry plus fun activities for children under 16 years old. Adult tickets start at just $5 per match day. Let's ride with the men in maroon. Go to windiscricket.com to secure your tickets now. West Indies is back in the spice aisle, and we Fuller Energy.
West Indies going higher, Fuller Energy.
Welcome back once again, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. Let me say welcome back to my guest. That's Dr. Terence Walters with me this morning, representing NaDMA with here on today's edition of To The Point. As I mentioned before the break, I want us to get into the recovery efforts. Now the storm has passed, and now we're thinking about recovery. The relief. So we go in relief, and then recovery. Because you had the relief. Because now folks have lost their homes. Even maybe just the roof. Some lost the entire building and so forth. So relief is needed. That process of getting relief to individuals. We're not even talking assessments yet. We're talking relief now. Let's go through the process from NaDMA perspective on that.
Right.
Getting the relief to the folks of Karaku and Petit Martinique.
So we understood that the folks would need relief. So we started the same night of the first.
Yeah.
Okay, we went to some of the wholesalers, and we were able to put together items, canned foods and water and so forth, to take up to Karaku and Petit Martinique immediately, just as a start. Good. But one of the good things is that the looting. Now remember, after an event like that, there is many times you can have looting. So if you loot out all your supermarkets and pharmacies and all of that, then the people have no access to these items. But if the looting is minimized, then the supermarkets can come back online soon after,
of course,
and people can get or have access to food and so. So we started there with the relief immediately, and then there were from Tobago and other islands, people started bringing in relief to Carriacou, Petit Martinique immediately, and so we mounted a real strong operation to gather from among all the wholesalers in Grenada food items so that we could package it and send it up. So we had boats going up to Carriacou on a daily basis, right? Boats going up to Carriacou and Petit Martinique on a daily basis to start providing relief for the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, water and food and other items that were needed. And then the people in the region and internationally started sending in relief because they realized that the level of devastation.
Yes.
And we put out a needs list. Okay, these are the things that we need. Sent it out regionally, internationally, so people knew what we needed. And then, so these, a lot of items started coming in. Now, dealing with relief can be very challenging.
I was going to ask you the management of that now could be very technical also.
Yeah, very challenging because then you have to get the items, sort the items, and send it out, and you're trying to reach the people who need it most.
Yeah.
Okay, people who might be cut off, you try to get to them, and so you have to work with people in the community, volunteers, and so to get to these people. So that's one part of it. But in terms of, and our situation was unique because you had mainland, which was functioning,
yes,
and then Carriacou and Petit Martinique that you needed to get it to. Now transportation was an issue because there was only one boat online. The other one took a couple weeks, I think, before it came back.
Became functional, yes.
Right. Then you have airport damaged. But the airport can only take small aircraft, no cargo aircraft as such. Good. So you only have the option of sea. The state does not own any major boats or cargo vessel or anything like that. So you have to depend on the private vessels, okay, to take the relief up to Carriacou and Petit Martinique. So you had those things to look at, all right. And going forward, I think it's something that the government will have discussions on how we can better manage the transportation system among the islands, because we have to factor that in. I remember in 2022, the executive director of NaDMA visited and went up to Carriacou and Petit Martinique, and she was saying that if there is an event, transportation will be one of the major challenges. And she was correct. And she was correct. Right, one of the major challenges. But we managed to ensure that we got, there were the private citizens who gave their boats and said, okay, I'm going to do 5 trips, I'm going to do 6 trips. You can, bring things up. And we worked day and night. Volunteers came out. I remember, volunteers working in the night, loading the boats so that it could push off early next morning to get the items up to Carriacou and Petit Martinique. So it was indeed a challenging time for everyone. Indeed a challenging time. But definitely we had to ensure that the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique received the relief that they needed immediately.
All right.
Now we can talk more about the relief that we received from regional and international
and donor countries and so forth.
Right, we can talk about that because although you put out a needs list, people sent what they had.
Yes.
Now you
of course you wouldn't refuse it, right?
You wouldn't refuse it, right? And you're grateful because it's the thought.
Yes.
Right? They're thinking, all right, we need to send stuff.
Yeah.
But then that created another challenge because remember when you receive these items, you have to sort.
Yeah.
And then you have to ensure that you're not distributing items that were expired.
Yeah.
So we got some items. We received 2 containers of items that expired on the 19th of July. Okay. So remember the hurricane was the first. Okay. So by the time you send the containers from wherever you're sending it to get to us, all right, and that's 19 days. So the container coming, it have to be shipped, get to us. By the time we get it, it's 2 days away from expiry. All right, 2 days, couple days away from expiry. So those were some of the challenges. Then what do you do with these items? Okay,
you try to make a quick distribution so that folks can use it before the day.
Before the day, you understand? And how
the challenge of getting it from the mainland to Carriacou, transportation issues again.
So there were quite a number of challenges, and that we had to deal with in terms of the relief. But I must say that the volunteers, because we had quite a number of volunteers, came out and worked day and night to ensure that we got things to Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Some things went directly to Carriacou and Petit Martinique because the boats were able to go, but the big container vessels had to come to mainland,
and have them dropped off and then have them shipped,
sorted and shipped.
I'm sure it was a learning process again, all over again. All situation becomes a learning process for everyone. If there's anything you could have done different, sir, of you being the head of the REM at that time, if there's anything you could have done differently, what would it have been? If I mean, you smile at it, but I know if anything you could have done differently to eliminate some of the challenges that came before you, what would you have done differently, sir?
So I know one of the things is that we would ensure that we have a good supply of food, but then you don't want to
stockpile things that
too much. You understand? You have to ensure, but you work with your private sector to ensure that they have a good stock of food on the island during the hurricane season.
Yes.
Okay. So that's one of the things. Ensure that you have enough of the food. But the other things that we don't have control over at this time in terms of the transportation, aircraft, all those things. So we really don't have control over them. But you spoke about it being a learning experience.
Yes.
Okay. And I made a comment, on another program that was a good experience for me, and so you were asking what you mean. But because we understand that a hurricane is never a good thing. No. Okay, it's catastrophic, and but in terms of the professional development of the staff of NaDMA, right? You now have the experience with a hurricane, so that going forward. Okay, if you're faced with another threat, all right, if you're faced with a threat of a hurricane, let's say this year, okay, then you have the experience of last year, so that you can now do things differently. You now know okay what to expect, what to anticipate, and are you going into this one? Yeah. God forbid, right? Because we don't want another one in our lifetime, right? We do not want another one in our lifetime. But just to say that you have the experience, so that you can be better prepared as yourself and to get people ready for the event. Because, mind you, with climate change, we see the storms are becoming more frequent, more intense. So we have to expect them. We have to be prepared for them, right? More frequent, because look at that, 1955 to 2004.
Yes.
2004, 2024, 20 years. So 50 years, 20 years, the time is getting, you understand?
Much shorter.
So we have to be mindful of that, because we have no control over these natural hazards. Absolutely no control. We don't know when they will occur, when they will impact us. All we can do is be prepared for them.
I'm sorry the folks in the UK are complaining of the heat. Imagine that, right?
Yes.
So you think of climate. Sometimes we take climate change as a joke. Some folks just refer to it as nothing at all. But I was listening to news and I hear the folks in the UK, which is usually have cooler temperatures, and they're complaining about the heat.
Yeah.
How hot it is. No, so the relief efforts. We spoke in relation to that, and we're going through the process of that right now. Now we're getting to the recovery efforts in terms of assisting, and I'm sure a level of assessment will go into in how the recovery efforts will be taking place. Talk to me about the recovery efforts in Carriacou.
Okay.
From the part of it NaDMA more or less has been responsible for.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so NaDMA will be responsible for preparedness, response, relief, when you go into recovery now, you have other entities involved there.
But in association with them, I'm assuming.
Right, yes, right. You have other entities because the recovery talking about now your electricity, your utilities.
Yes.
Right, electricity and your telecommunications, getting your schools back online, your medical centers back online, and transportation and getting your businesses up and running and so forth. All right, and I think that, in my estimation, I think the recovery efforts in Carriacou and Petit Martinique went well.
Yes.
No, looking back at it, I went up to Carriacou I think it was about 2 months after. Yeah, so I spent the night in Carriacou, and in the evening time I said, well, let me go see what's happening around the evening, how it looks. And I got out there, and there were lights in several parts of the island, and so one of the things I noted when I got to Carriacou that first day is that the utility poles, many of them were not broken or did not fall, but they just lean, right? So I said to them, I said that the electricity will be back on quickly, because what the utility workers have to do now is straighten the poles, run the lines, and you should have electricity.
And Carriacou being a small island,
yeah, right. And I noted, and that was from the experience in Tortola, right? When I looked at what's happened with the lines and so, so the electricity came back on quickly. Water, NASA worked really well to ensure that the water was back, and that the people had water, both Carriacou and Petit Martinique, and then quickly, because we had the cleanup happening.
Yes.
The boats were going up on weekends,
from the mainland to the
Saturday, Sunday, and people were cleaning up. And some people were critical of the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique in terms of them not participating, or some people not participating. But you have to understand, these people just went through a significantly traumatic experience. All right, and it's like the people were kind of lost.
I totally understand. Sometimes you cannot put out for yourself at that particular time, even though it's a month or two after, as you mentioned, you went when they were. Sometimes it's very hard for you to participate for various reasons.
For various reasons.
Not that you're being lazy or you're being this or that, but some reason you just don't have that will yet to move forward. Sometimes folks are still going through that traumatic situation for themselves, and just assisting and you're watching at a piece of wood or it brings back a certain feeling to you. So understanding it from that point, it could be, I understand it from that point.
So but we had the cleanup, and we had to because after Ivan, there were people from other islands coming to Glen to clean up.
Yes.
Okay. So we went up. We assisted with the cleanup process and so forth, and then you had slowly transportation coming back, and then you had the team from Guyana, the military team from Guyana assisting with bringing back some of the buildings and so and things started coming back slowly. Shops were open, supermarkets started opening, the hotel started opening slowly, and it before you know it, right, the Carriacou and Petit Martinique started buzzing again.
Yes.
And so you had that recovery taking place, and now it's 1 year on, okay, and it's quite advanced.
And you're saying that you're happy with the level of recovery that you have seen thus far?
Thus far, yes.
Yes, thus far.
Yes, I'm happy.
I mean, earlier you spoke of going up 2 months after. As it states right now, you think the recovery is in a good space right now?
Yeah, very much so. Because remember, schools are open.
Yes.
You have all your medical facilities rehabilitated and so forth. Okay, your supermarkets are open. Your hotels are open for business. People. You go up to Carriacou and you see there's activities that people. People are able to go out and socialize and that kind of thing. So 1 year on from such a devastating hurricane, where 98% of your buildings were either damaged or destroyed. Okay, so 1 year on, they have definitely come a long way. I will say.
All right.
Both Carriacou and Petit Martinique.
We drew for a break. Let's take. We come back. We continue the discussion. Stay with us, folks. It's To The Point. Classic Radio GBN TV. We will be right back. Don't touch it out.
Fly the Jones swoosh, it's Lava Man, and you already know the energy. It's all about GBN Spice of the Carnage Soca Mona competition. This year is going to be greater, bolder, more exciting than ever. And it's all about the quarterfinals on the 25th of July. The 31st of July will be the semi-finals, and August 8th finals. Artists, if you think you have what it takes to own the stage, now is your chance. Get there, be there, see you there. Lava Man, the real mad one. Fly the Jones, swoosh, GBN Spice of the Carnage Soca Mona competition.
Grenada. Time to get charged up for the Fuller Energy Home Series as West Indies takes on Australia in a fiery test match from July 3rd to 7th at the National Cricket Stadium from 10 a.m. each day. Free entry plus fun activities for children under 16 years old. Adult tickets start at just $5 per match day. Let's rally with the men in maroon. Go to windiescricket.com to secure your tickets now. West Indies is back in the spice aisle and we full of energy.
West Indies going higher, full of energy.
Hey everyone, here is an invitation to join me this and every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. on GBN Television 711 K105 FM, our Facebook page and YouTube channel for Kaiso Talk. Meet the Kaisonians, hear their stories, feel the vibes. Kaiso Talk, Wednesdays 8:30 p.m. Compliments for Grenville Credit Union.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to the Point Classic Radio GBN TV. With me this morning, we have Dr. Terence Walters with me this morning. Folks, we're talking 1 year after, Hurricane Beryl, the devastation we saw, of course, in our sister isles of Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Minimal, not as extensive on the mainland, more to the northern part of the island. The board of directors or the members of NaDMA, sir, sometimes we're not hearing much in relation to that. Is the board of NaDMA up and running, if we could say that, to a point?
Okay, so NaDMA is a government division of the Ministry of National Security. So we do not have a board just yet, right? When the entity goes statutory, we will have a board. Currently, we have what is called the National Emergency Advisory Council. Okay, that provides policy direction for the agency. All right, so
and they are able to function efficiently, even though, because I know there was that conversation of making that NaDMA into that statutory body and so forth. That conversation been there out there. Right. That is not fully functional as yet. But you say that board that is in now, as I say, I still use the word board in there. Okay. It's able to function. The council, per se, it's able to function efficiently, just in case we have another disaster. Decides. Of course, we know, as we mentioned earlier, we're not wishing for that at all in 2025. Okay. But they are able to function in that capacity for now.
Right, yes. The council has been functioning because the council has been the one that makes, or is the one that makes the decision. So last year when we had Beryl, the council met the Saturday. Yeah. Made the decisions about when to lock down, when to close. Or open shelters, when to activate the emergency operations center, etc. The council makes those decisions, and if we have an event now, the council will meet. Okay, and the council is chaired by the minister responsible for disaster management, who is currently the Prime Minister. Okay, the council is chaired by that minister, and the council will make the decisions as to what is happening. Now, they will be guided by the information from the Met Office and from the agency and so. But then they will make the decisions as to what should happen. So the council is functioning. Must let you know that.
Okay, happy to know that, because it's always been. I brought the question up to you because of the fact that we heard it being going to be turned into that statutory body and so forth. So I was wondering, well, is there any? And I still got the word board, but you said it's a council.
Yes, the council.
Is it possible you can share who are the members of this board? You did say the Prime Minister chairs it, as being the Minister of National Security and so forth, and disaster and so forth. You could share the members of that council.
Okay, so I won't be able to give you all the members, but it has 13 subcommittees responsible for public education and information, shelter management, health, security, transport and road clearance, relief management. Okay, so there are 13 subcommittees, and the council is made up of two. You have two chairs: a management committee, which comprises the heads of the subcommittees, the Met Office, NaDMA, the Minister, and the PS. Okay, so that's the management of the council. And then now you have the general body, which comprises the management, in addition to all of your utility companies and your other, like Red Cross, ADRA, these other entities, okay, all of them, to the Hotel and Tourism Association, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, all these other entities make up the general body of the council.
It's 2025. The readiness of shelters, especially within the Sister Isle of Carriacou, in the mainland, Grenada, how are they, the readiness for shelters? We are now full-fledged into the hurricane season, as you would say. So
the shelter inspection was conducted between January and April. The report was presented, and the list of shelters was disseminated at the end of May. So we do have the list of shelters out in the public, so that people know what or where the shelters are, which are the shelters. Now, some from last year have been removed, and a couple added this year. Okay, so the list of shelters, and what we are trying to do is to work with the entities that are responsible for these emergency shelters to ensure that they are retrofitted, so that they can be ready to be used as a shelter. Good. Now remember, our emergency shelters are schools and community centers, churches, and some private buildings. Okay, and so they're not purpose built. So the school is not built to be a shelter, but we work with education whenever they're retrofitting a school or building a new school to ensure that some features are there so that the building can be used as a shelter.
Hence the name emergency shelters.
Emergency, and again, it's not
emergency may not always be a hurricane, right?
Right. Okay. Emergency. So some people say hurricane shelters, but they're not hurricane shelters. They are emergency shelters. Because, for example, yesterday evening we had an event in Telesford with the explosion. If we had to house people, then we'd have to activate a shelter. Right. So it's not a hurricane, but it's an emergency. So that's why we say emergency shelters.
NaDMA in 2025, the experiences of 2024, and if we go further back, the experiences of Hurricane Ivan in 2004, we had Emily, and all the other, smaller or less effective, situations that took place around. NaDMA in 2025 moving forward. What are some of the plans of NaDMA moving forward?
Again, we have to strengthen our preparedness, because preparedness is not a point that you reach. So you don't get to a point in 2025 and say we're prepared. It's a continuous process. So you have to strengthen that. We have to ensure that more people in our society become involved and realize that as individuals we have a part to play. So when you walk down the street and you drink one of the drinks in the plastic bottle, and you throw that bottle in the gutter, and somebody else does the same thing, and afterward we have some rain, and those bottles block the drains, and we have flooding, you're responsible. Because you threw that bottle there. So that's why we're saying you have a part to play. If you have a tree growing, in your property, and it's close to somebody else's house, and you do not get that tree cut, and then we have a weather event, and the tree falls, damage that person's house, you did not do what you have to do, because we always talk about cutting, overhanging, and that kind of thing. So as individuals, we have a role to play. And until we get to the point where people understand that it's not just the people in the office at NaDMA, or not just the police, or not the government, all right, because we tend to blame the government. The government not doing this and the government not doing that. But in disaster management, disaster risk reduction, individuals in the population, we have a role to play, a significant role to play, because the government can't do it all. The NaDMA district team in St. Andrews Southwest can't do it all. Our actions and our inactions, will lead to certain consequences. So I want us to remember. So going forward, we have to ensure that that people become more involved in disaster risk reduction. And then as an agency, one of the things that we have to do is ensure that we have more professionals in disaster management. People who study disaster management and want to work in disaster management. So it should not just be something that you figure, all right, I'm going to just do that, right? But you go, you study. All right, just like we have people studying for medicine and for all other areas. You go, you study disaster management, and you come back and you work in disaster management. So we have professionals building that in our country, because with climate change, like we say, the hazards will come. We expect them to be more frequent, we expect them to be more intense, and we expect that we will have to respond more often. So we need people who are trained in disaster management to take the agency forward. So I am putting this out to young people, that disaster management is an area that you should. Now everybody won't go into it, right? But disaster management is an area that you should look at making a career path.
All right. I always hear the communication from individual, or the concerns from individual as relates to information sharing. On this from NaDMA and other entities, especially we sometimes you hear it minimal at all, sometimes you don't hear it at all. Is it left up to NaDMA to do that? Continue sharing information, and because when you continue to sell the individuals to get their mind prepared, that preparedness information and so forth, sometimes we don't hear it at all, especially rebroadcast over the various media and so forth. Is it left up to NaDMA? Is it left up to the private communication, of course, in the industries to take it upon themselves, or NaDMA should be the one distributing this information on a daily basis? Not that we're in the season. I think it should be being bombarded with information about preparedness and what could happen, so people always keep their minds in tune. Hey, I'm hearing about be prepared, make sure my house is properly taken care, is of course up to standard, just in case, make sure I stockpile the food that is needed for the particular time. Is it left up to do that?
Well, the agency does do some PR. No, I must admit that we need to strengthen that area. We need to strengthen that area. But then we have what is called the Public Education and Information Committee, which is headed by JS and comprises all of the media entities across Grenada. And so these entities have a responsibility to continuously broadcast the information.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I guess because it's free, sometimes you may not get them broadcasting it all the time, but the entities do have that responsibility to provide the information. While I'm agreeing that there's more that NaDMA can do. All right. There's more that we can do, and there's always room for improvement. Okay, but we have definitely been providing information so that the entities can, give it to the general population, and it's a continuous process.
Okay.
But again, I just want to make the point that it is not only during the hurricane season.
Yeah.
Right? It should be year round.
I agree. I would agree to that also.
It should be year round, because comprehensive disaster management is the management of all hazards through all phases by all people, and it's year round, so that we don't have the hazards only in hurricane season, and then outside of that, we have to let our guards down. It's year round, and NaDMA, we continue to work year round, because during the hurricane season, people think that that's our busiest time, but during the hurricane season, we're monitoring, we're watching, and if something happens, you become very busy. If nothing happens, then you're fine. But outside of the hurricane season, from December to May, that's when we are now doing our preparation. That's now when we walk in to get the shelters inspected, ensure that we have our teams in place, ensure that everything is in place for the hurricane season. So it's like you don't have a break.
I understand.
It's just year round.
But that's also where the public service information should be broadcasted a whole lot too.
All the time.
Keep people managed.
All the time.
We drew
all
for a break. Let's take that break. When we come back, our phones are going, so I know there are listeners and viewers out there may want to.
My name is Boogie B, and this is my partner here, John. Well, you know what's going on? GBN have a big thing coming up on the Canada. I want to beat Little John, and I'm going to beat Little John.
You can't beat no anything that is dollar and roti.
Yeah. You bring me down.
Let me sing the truth.
No song. Tell him bring his song on the Carnage. I have a meeting.
Alright, but you don't know, GBN Spice of the Carnage live. Don't forget this year, 2025, Boogie B, Little John,
Mad thing. I'm gonna be there. He's gonna be there. You don't miss it.
The way them y'all getting on ya, they making me hunger. I don't know how long I got that with again. Shaking the bumper, they raising me temper. I'm right in the center, y'all are feeling a pain. What a flow, 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 what a flow. The water put it just like a freestyle. Blood flowing mile by mile. It's legacy. I beat that don't stop like Bob Marley said. One love on top. The sewage water out of sight, but it's always wrong. Don't lose the light. From factories and wells so deep. Cut off mangroves and fish they weep. Green water for the garden, keep it green. Save the cash and the earth gets clean. We use the water with a mindful mind. It's out of sight but never far behind. In nature, the answers always flow. Like water running pure, the cycle grows. It renews itself, same drop, same beat. It's all good, man, you got the heat. Water flow. No clean water, no vibes we grow. Protect our water, protect our future.
Time to go.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point, Classic Radio GBN TV. With me this morning, we have Dr. Terence Walters with me this morning. And our feature conversation this morning, we were talking about 1 year later. Hurricane Beryl. We spoke about the relief. We spoke about the recovery. All that entails in between the transportation, the challenges. Of course, we spoke about that. We didn't get too in depth into the housing situation, but of course, it's understandable at the situation it's at right now. In this segment, we encourage you, listeners and viewers, if you do have a question or two, I beg of you to be brief for time purposes. Of course, if you do have a question, let's go to the phone line and entertain our first caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning and welcome.
Well, thank you, Mr. Telesford. Greetings. Trust that all is well with you.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Walters, your guest.
Yes.
Sitting back here listening to Mr. Walters and we talking preparedness, and the first thing came to my mind. Last year, and may the Lord never permit it again, the first pretext of the authorities was that the heavy equipment could not be refueled on the morning of the storm or after the storm because the gas stations had been damaged. I do trust that this year and henceforth they pay serious attention to the fact that equipment have to be repaired, fueled up, and all that ready just in case. A priori, before the activity. You can't wait until the morning to go to a gas station, yeah? Or the morning after. Just an observation, but I have a question for Mr. Walters, sir. This question is coming 4 years in succession. I trust you would remember. 4 years successively. According to the United Nations Convention on Persons with Disabilities, Article 4 speaks of the general obligations of the state. Article 11 speaks of risks and humanitarian emergencies. There, it prescribes that the authorities should prepare protocol, written and otherwise, for the population of people with disabilities in the state. How far have we reached on that job, sir? 4 times the question is being posed in succession. I trust you respond competently. Thank you very much for what is worth, Mr. Telesford. Do have a nice day.
You too, sir. Have a good day yourself. Respond to the caller?
Well, I know that we have passed legislation, all right, legislation in 2023, which will definitely, take into consideration persons with disabilities, and we continue to work with the Council for the Disabled to ensure that we advance preparedness for persons with disabilities. For example, our shelters, we try to ensure that we have shelters that have ramps and assistive devices for persons with disabilities. And when last year when we did the broadcast, we did the broadcast. There was sign language, somebody signing. So there have been some improvements incrementally, all right, but I must say it's a work in progress, and we continue to see how much we can do to advance the preparedness for persons with disabilities.
Okay, caller, you're live. Good morning and welcome.
Person, good morning. Personally, I am not satisfied in the way that we in already Tri-Island State, to be more exact, sufficiently warned prior to the hurricane season preparation, getting people to know, all right, you don't trim trees, as was mentioned, you throw debris in a drain, rain comes out during the hurricane season, the drain is blocked, and that the very people who must help in the preparation of the area, drain blockage, etc., would see to it that they do not do such. 1, 2, people go about in a vehicle, and you're on top of the hill, they're on the road. You can't hear what they say. You don't know what they're saying. How could we, as a people, prepare ourselves properly so that when the disaster does come, we are already prepared and so you wouldn't have all of these things that we have in black drains, stones rolling down. You don't have the facility for water to run to. I'm not understanding you. People come in my area, you can't hear what they're saying. Vehicle and what have they said or been talking about, you don't know. I think we need to do much better than that. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. In terms of what the caller mentioned, anything you wanted, of course?
Well, we continued our public education and information. Yeah. And the thing is, remember I mentioned individuals?
Yes.
Because the caller is saying he's not satisfied, but the caller knows what to do, right? The caller has the information, all right? So we have the information, so it's there. But we must continue with our public education and information to ensure that people understand what they need to do.
So true. We have another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning, and you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Pleasant good morning. Pleasant good morning to you, yes. I joined the program later, and I'm a bit taken aback, so I'm a little bit ignorant as to what is happening. I learned that there was an explosion somewhere in Glenville, Telesford to be exact, maybe, and yesterday evening. I haven't really heard anything much about it. Could you expound a little bit on that if he has any knowledge? Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. It's not what we're discussing this morning.
Yes,
it's also in range of NaDMA in terms if there was a necessary disaster. NaDMA would certainly interject.
Right. So there was an incident, and I guess the Royal Grenadier Police Force and the relevant entities will put out the information sometime
in relation to that. All right. Caller, you're live. Good morning. Welcome.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, caller. Before you continue, whatever device in the background, please have it lowered, please, or turned off entirely, and then after we flew, you can bring it back up. Go right ahead, please.
I'm sorry, calling from Fontenoy. Concern the ravine in Fontenoy.
Caller, I ask that you turn off whatever device you have in the background. Take care of that, and then you can certainly call us back, okay? 435-2041. You have the WhatsApp. We have the direct line to use the advantage in terms if you do have a question or two, feel free to do so. Let's go back to the phone line. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
And to your guests and listeners. I want to ask a question. How do you made the guest how do you made a comment regarding people having trees close to the home, and if it is not properly taken care of and it damages are responsible? Is as the agency responsible if there is a tree and it cannot be handled by the homeowner? Is there a system in place where they can be assisted to get a tree cut? Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Respond to the caller.
No, there isn't a system as such. Okay, we can contact maybe forestry if they have the capability. If they have the capability, they can assist.
So NaDMA is not directly associated in terms of offering that assistance.
No, we don't. The agency NaDMA does not have that kind of assistance to offer. Okay. And there are many people around who do that privately, so you can contact.
So individuals take that upon their person to have that done.
Yes, as it is now.
Caller, you're live. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Jay.
Good morning to you.
And good morning to Mr. Walters.
Good morning.
Mr. Walters, in lack of sensitivity in the public about the hurricane season, I won't say much as, but I'm not saying that we had the job season. You can come up with something, including the job to sensitize the public. We know most people in the job around this time. And then this year, I will what to run about the job, telling them to be prepared for the hurricane, what to do and what not to do. I think that will go kind of far in helping the people to get ready for the hurricane season.
Thank you. Thank you, caller. It's a good idea that I could use the job to dispel it. It's a good idea. You never know. It may work, right? Let's get another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning. We have 2 minutes after 10 o'clock. Good morning, you're live. This will be our final caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Good morning again. I had to call back because based on the answer the gentleman gave, I would like to make a suggestion. I know a lot of chainsaws was given out to people and agencies all around the country. I would like to suggest, Mr. Walter, that that NaDMA create a team with people who can do those things, because I think the reason why some people wouldn't cut a tree because they don't have the money to pay for it. Because some of them those people charge a lot of money to do that. It's expensive. It would be unfair to them. They don't have the ability to do it, and then if something happens, then they are responsible. As the agency responsible, because some of those trees affect the roadway as well, I would like to suggest that a team be put in place to address those issues. Instead of saying that the agency does not have that mandate or capabilities, you need to respond effectively, because someone cannot do it. What is the agency responsible nationally is doing to do that, to address that? So I would like to suggest that a team be put together and have people in the different parishes identify those things and get it done. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Thanks. Thanks for that. But I could only tell you, if the agency does not have a team in place, okay, to do that, I can't say we do. Right? I have to tell you what exists.
Yes.
Now going forward, it's like the caller is making a suggestion. Going forward, that's something that we can take on board and see how we can address that. But I can only tell you what exists.
All right, let's entertain our final caller and then we get some closing contributions.
Indulgences, Mr. Telesford, sir?
Yes, sir. You're my final caller. Take
Very good suggestion that gentleman made. I wish you take it into consideration, because trees falling create disasters, and the purpose of the whole exercise is to mitigate it. So I think this is something that your agency ought to incorporate. Seriously consider it, I do urge you. Finally, I want to give a little advice here from my experiences, etc. One of the problems that our equipment, especially tired pneumatic equipment, suffer after disasters that of punctures and so on, I want to recommend this. Happened years ago in my time. Strange enough, I understand it doesn't happen now. There's a product which can be purchased, from a company, United States, the one I know, Texas Refineries. It's a silicon-based product which is pumped into your tires to create a protection system within the tire, if it's tubeless, or within the tube, if it has a tube. It's of a silicon base, and it makes it many times more protective, powerful, difficult to pierce than does a regular tube. I'll give you an idea how it works just to round up here. I don't know if you know what they call an IUD. Women use it for protection against pregnancy. If you shove on the sharpest knife into that, you piercing it. You get the drift? And this will help us a great deal in protecting the equipment, pneumatic equipment, or pneumatic tired equipment, right? After emergencies and so on, to avoid punctures and delays in getting the work done. Just a suggestion for what it's worth from an old timer with experience. Do have a nice day, will you, Mr. Telesford?
Thank you, sir. Have a good morning once again.
Thank you, Mr. Rollo.
All right. Of course, Mr. Walters, we understand the challenges of NaDMA. Of course, it's 2025, and of course, we're into the hurricane season. We understand the concerns from citizens with the calls, of course, that they are making, and so we're looking forward for these improvements from NaDMA as we move forward. There's always, as you said, there's always areas of improvement that is needed, and of course, there's a lot to learn still from every situation that occurs, every disaster, whatever emergency may be that would occur. There's always an option of learning, and we're going to see just more of improvement from NaDMA as we move forward.
Definitely. And I thank GBN and thank the government for this opportunity so that NaDMA could be featured this morning, and the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique as we continue the process of rebuilding. Yes. Okay, we ask you to continue to be strong, continue to do what you have to do, continue your preparedness, and our state, again, just to emphasize, individuals. Yeah. We all all have a role to play in this whole preparedness and disaster risk reduction that we're working on and we continue to work on. Right. So NaDMA looks forward to continued collaboration here with GBN as we continue to work with the population.
All right. So I just want to thank you once again for popping by the studio this morning, sharing information, sharing some of the stories as relates to Hurricane Beryl. 1 year of it. 1 year of it. And of course, we're looking forward to a pretty calm season, hopefully.
Well, yes, I would agree with you. Okay,
hopefully, pretty calm season, hopefully, and of course, hope that we don't have to go through a situation as of last year once again. Hopefully not. And so until then, we have another conversation. So I want to thank you a whole lot.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, folks. Hey, folks, that's where we're going to take a wrap for today's edition of The Point. I want to thank all who contributed, all who sat at home and listened, and some way or the other, thank you so much. Join us again for another edition. That's where we say goodbye.